Mercury goes retrograde 3 times a year, and the first retrograde of 2022 is here. So we started with the Mercury shadow period in April. It started actually April 25th all the way up to May 10th. That's called the shadow period, which basically is the period of time that Mercury is crossing over the degrees that it's going to be going back over when it goes retrograde. So Mercury is going retrograde on May 10th until June 3rd. It's kind of a long one. And then once again, it goes forward and we reach another shadow period. So for Mercury retrograde, that means that Mercury goes over the same degrees 3 times over. So anything that was happening for you from April 25th to May 10th, that is sort of what Mercury is going to be going back over and making sure to push you to reassess or to rethink or to reevaluate. Mercury retrograde periods are all about the re's, right? So review. It's really important to triple check everything that you do during a Mercury retrograde period because we never know the communication that's happening behind closed doors. In case you're new here, hi, my name is Mimi Folco. I am a tarot reader, astrologer, numerologer, Reiki practitioner, crystal candle maker here at Harvey Mountain Alchemy. I post free tarot readings every week, every Saturday in the morning, unless the internet is against me, which it has been the last couple of weeks. So, Mercury has been doing its part for me as well. And so this week we are looking at what you need to know about this upcoming Mercury in retrograde period. I'm going to have 3 piles down on the table that you can choose from. And before we get to that, a couple of announcements. The usual, if you haven't yet signed up for my giveaway, all you have to do is subscribe to this channel, go follow me on Instagram, and then comment below to let me know that you did those things. Basically, I'm giving away 7 prizes, which includes a bunch of different reading options, tarot readings, natal chart readings, Reiki sessions, and then even some gift certificates. So if you're interested in getting any of that, you can absolutely sign up for this giveaway. I am super excited to give these things away. We are getting so close to that point as well. So it's just really exciting. Also, if you're looking for an astrology podcast, look no further. I have one. I host one with my 2 close friends called The Stars Made Me Do It. So if you're interested in learning astrology through a podcast, absolutely go check that out on all of your podcast platforms. If you want to learn astrology on a more personal level, I do also offer private tutoring on my website, harveymountainalchemy.com, where we can schedule some astrology lessons together. I really enjoy using this format. It gives you a lot of attention because it is one-on-one, it's private, so you really get the education that you want. All right, so let's just get into it. I have your 3 piles on the table. Let's get going. All right, so pile 1, you have got well, pile 2, table, and pile 3, ink pot. All right, pile number 1, I have got your well card here. And it says family wishes come true. So let's get going. Let's see. Let's start with the Light Seers Tarot. I got this guy here. And I'm just going to ask, what is the major lesson that you are learning this Mercury retrograde? Here we go. Wow. Okay. So starting off with the 7 of Cups and the 5 of Pentacles, and then really leaning into the Ace of Pentacles. So what I have here, what I can really see is that there's a deep need to find your center, to re-ground yourself, because you do have a lot of options in your life. You have a lot of potential, a lot of possibility, a lot of options open for you to chase after, but for some reason you're not seeing them as options. I think maybe you're allowing the overwhelm to take over, and instead you're sort of sitting in that place of fear and almost of survival, that all of these options feel more like they are luxurious and I don't need those. I'm fine where I am right now, because we're a little afraid of that change. We're afraid of adjusting the way we live right now because you're surviving where you are right now. You're safe where you are right now. And this Ace of Pentacles is sort of saying, yes, you're safe, but you're able to move your roots. So move the roots. And Mercury goes retrograde when it's in Gemini, but then it moves back into Taurus. So it's almost this need to really communicate internally, have an open monologue with yourself, and eventually it's going to be a big conversation about your worth, about your self-valuing. And it does seem like there is some hesitance to lean into change, to lean into uprooting where you are right now. And it could be uprooting in a small way. It could be uprooting in a huge way, right? It could just be, I'm adjusting what I eat on a daily basis, or it could be I am moving to a whole other country or to a whole other state if you're in the US. So allowing the little moments that feel like major change to influence the way that you perceive them. Instead of seeing them as, oh my God, this is a threat to my survival, see them as this is an opportunity to really grow, to evolve, and to see more of the world. Uncover some of those options. And it doesn't mean you have to choose just one. You could even decide on, opening quite a few at the same time and just seeing what those options really look like for you, how you embody those options in real life. So say there's like job options, or there are house options, or, relationship options, to really play some of those out and give them time, right? Not rush into any decisions, which Mercury retrograde is always want to teach us, right? That you don't have to just jump right in. Mercury retrograde tells us that there's something within that needs to be worked through. So allow yourself to work through these options that you have, rather than closing your eyes and telling people they can't see you. What are you running away from? And how is it really helping you to run away? So let's see what the best way for you to approach these options is. Okay. Wow. I always say that, don't I? So the 10 of Pentacles jumped out. The best way to approach your options is with a positive attitude. And like, how vague is that, or how obvious is that? But is it really that obvious? Are you finding yourself to be that positive? Approach these options as what they are. Options to make life better, to enhance life, to enhance the experience of your life, rather than seeing them as uprooting. We do have the Ace of Cups and the Three of Swords as well. I think that you really are seeing a part of the option that could be hurtful, or could be negative, or could be painful. And that's really just one sliver of what that option is providing for you. This opportunity, this movement, this change could really kickstart a new emotional journey for you, a new way to find fulfillment in your life. And if you let the tiny sliver of difficulty, or what you can see as pain or hurt or resistance, if you let that little sliver win, you don't get to see the whole pie, right? You don't get to see everything else that the opportunity offers. And it's almost like you saw these options all as luxury, right? Like they weren't needed for survival, therefore they're luxury. So then treat them as luxury and say, wow, I deserve this luxury. Speaking to yourself in that way instead. All right, let's see. The outcome, should you approach Mercury retrograde this way? Wow, I can't. So the card that jumped out, let's not get scared. You got the Three of Swords again. So the outcome that could come in is almost, I think, a full grieving of something that once was. That maybe there's been an emotional experience, or something emotional that you really went through and you didn't allow yourself to fully process it, maybe out of a need to just survive or a need to just keep going. And I think that if you approach whatever opportunities are in front of you for this Mercury retrograde with optimism and with seeing the whole picture rather than just the painful part of the picture, then you can really work through some of this old grief, really process some of this old pain. Because I think there's a part of you that's identifying with that old pain as who you are right now. But that pain was put on a past version of you, when you are not who you are right now, past that difficult experience. You are a much stronger person now. You got the Knight of Wands and the Six of Cups. there's a softness that's going to come to you, an understanding of how much you've grown, of how much you've changed, the balance that comes with that as well. Because right now I feel like there's sort of an imbalance where you're really leaning towards maybe self-sabotage or maybe self-sacrifice or self-deprecation. You're bringing yourself down. And it's almost like if you approach these opportunities with a more open perspective, you really could reach this higher understanding of self and a more positive outlook on how you treat yourself. And to see how much you've grown. You are not the same version of yourself that you were a year ago or 5 months ago or 2 weeks ago. And Mercury retrograde this time around is really going to teach you that. And I think it's going to teach it to you through the people in your life, through the relationships in your life, but ultimately from the relationship with yourself. We do have this Knight of Wands card, which is ruled by Sagittarius. So, that positive outlook, that optimism, the openness that Sagittarius has. It's all about the opening of the mind. And it's actually opposite Gemini, which is where Mercury is retrograde. So I'm going to pull a couple, 1 or 2 of these Prism Oracles. Intuition. Yeah, you have a really powerful intuition within you, and it's time for you to really start listening to it. And it might not look like the way that you expect it to look like. It might not look like how other intuitive people look, or, like me, I have a very different way of intuiting things. You have a very unique way of intuiting things. And it's almost time for you to communicate with yourself when you do need to release grief. And again, like when I first pulled these cards, it was like this could be uprooting in a big way, right? And moving countries or whatever, or it could be uprooting in a small way. And this grief doesn't have to be absolutely huge. It could be, but the grief can also be minor griefs. It doesn't have to be absolutely life-changing grief. Let's see. I just want to pull all of them. So you got intuition, you also got magic, and you got trust. So look at all of these colors here, the purples and the blues, communicating with your crown here and the throat, right? Because the throat and blue is communication, speaking. And so Mercury retrograde is all about internal communication. And so for this, that trusting your own voice, trusting the magic of your own intuition when it comes to what it is that you are facing during this Mercury retrograde. All right. I hope that was helpful. I'm sending you guys a lot of love. I really look forward to any comments that you share. I always love to hear from you guys. And yeah, don't forget to check out my podcast, The Stars Made Me Do It. All right. Thanks. Bye. All right. Pile 2. I have got your table card. This is from the Tea Leaf Fortune deck table, and it says hard work ahead. So I'm interested to hear why you chose that one. All right. So let's pull some cards. What this Mercury retrograde is bringing to you. What is the main theme of Mercury retrograde for you, pile 2? Here we go. I want this guy. I want this guy. Wow. Okay. I'm realizing I say wow every single time. So what we've got here, strength, Page of Pentacles, and Temperance. All of these blue hues. So a lot of blue going on, communication, but also calm. I always go straight to the chakras, but I almost feel like this blue is asking you to breathe a little bit. All right, so let's just take one big inhale and out. Okay, let yourself breathe a little bit. The calm is really coming in. And strength here, this almost feels like a really internal strength, really quiet strength is being asked of you for this Mercury retrograde. I also think that for you, and I mean for everybody, but for you specifically, I feel like watching what you say is going to be a big theme, because you might be surprised how other people receive what you say. Mercury retrograde is notorious for bringing on miscommunications. So really being careful about the words that you choose to tell others, right? The intention that you put into those words is going to be really important for you. And it's also, I think, going to ask you to be strong in the ways that other people receive your words. I think there's a need to balance, because there's a part of you that is really going to have to be intentional with what you say to others, but there's another part of you that's going to have to work on your people pleasing. How much are you doing just to make other people feel comfortable? And how uncomfortable is that making you feel, right? And so you're surrounded by this blue, and you almost need to embody the blue, like this Temperance. Embody the blue. And I actually have never felt this way about this card before, but the fact that, you know, he is pouring coffee from one cup to another, it's the only brown. And so he is this blue and he's pouring out this brown, and it almost feels like there's a big release in your physical body that needs to come out. And not just that physical release, but that you need to let it go. You need to let go of that physical release for yourself. I've never gotten that from Temperance before, especially this Temperance, but that brown is really giving me that old gunk in your body that isn't serving you, that really needs to come out, maybe through some breathing, like breath work. I couldn't think of that word. Maybe through some breath work. And then, you know, we also have this Page of Pentacles, which I love because he seems so wise, even though he is a page, and pages are known to be more naive. But when you think about children who are naive, but they still have a sense of wisdom within themselves, you know? So I think that for you, your naivete is allowing you to really accept the need to release, the letting go that you're able to do at this point in your life. And then the strength, the fact that it's going to take strength to do those things. It's not going to be particularly easy. It's not like you are, you know, if you could have let go of it, you would have already. You know, I think that's basically what these three cards are saying. So how to approach this Mercury retrograde, how to approach that theme, that lesson that Mercury retrograde is teaching you. Pile two. Okay, we're gonna get that one because, and there we go. So, how to approach it. First off, we've got the Nine of Wands. So I think it's going to be important for you to release any defensiveness, any natural instinct to defend rather than just listen to and communicate with. Hello, Lilu. That's the dog that's not supposed to be in this room. Lay down, baby. So letting go of defensiveness, I think, is going to be a big point for you in this Mercury retrograde. And the way that you are going to be able to learn those lessons the best is not to have to defend yourself all of the time. And if you feel like, well, I don't feel like I get very defensive, like I'm a very open person when it comes to communication, then maybe it's like, do you need to defend yourself a little bit more? We do have the Fool, beginning new journeys, allowing the new to come in. So maybe this Nine of Wands is actually like, well, I already have everything I need. Like, I don't need to do any more. I'm pretty good where I am. And you're almost ready to, like, not plateau in a bad sense, but just like hone in on your craft right now, or craft of life, or just stay where you are right now. And the Fool is almost saying like, no, let's continue opening your mind. Let's keep trying new things. Let's discover more passions. And then you also have this Three of Cups with your people. So I do think that your people are going to play a really big role in your life during this Mercury retrograde period. And that's why I think communication is so important, because you do need to be very intentional about how you communicate with others. And even if you think that you're not very defensive, maybe it's coming across differently just in this retrograde period, you know? All right, so let's look at the outcome should you use this approach to Mercury retrograde, of being open to new experiences, of letting go of defensiveness, and of, you know, trusting your people. I'll tell you why I laughed in a second. Great. That's amazing. Two out of the three cards are cards that you just got. So you got, again, the Nine of Wands and the Three of Cups. So that defensive card, and also your community card. And then you also got the King of Wands. So I almost feel like in these realms, in the realm of being defensive, or in the realm of communicating openly and being a little more accepting and opening your perspective a little bit more, this King of Wands is really the outcome. This ability to master your actions, your motivation beyond belief for this Mercury retrograde. I really think that if you handle the energy that this retrograde period gives you well, your motivation is really going to bubble up. You're going to have a lot of energy to do the things that you know you need to do. I could feel you being really productive during this time. Again, making sure that you are doing everything, making sure that you're triple checking everything that you do, right? We don't want to be too impulsive or too rash this Mercury retrograde season, especially because we do have Venus in Aries, which is quick to, shift their values even. So making sure that you are sure of what you value, you are sure of what needs to be done. But as long as you let down your guard a little, and maybe that is, because there's something about defensiveness that I can feel somebody watching this right now is like, I'm not defensive, because they're being defensive. But it's more about letting your guard down, right? Not assuming that everybody is out to get you. And instead finding joy in your community, in being able to connect with others. And that outcome really feels, it just feels so strong like that. This King of Wands, it's lonely at the top. Do you really need to be at the top? Because I think you need connection more. So let's pull some Prism Oracles. Oh, this guy. Sweetness. Passion. Okay, relationships, man. They really are here. I wonder if you are a Sagittarius or Scorpio rising. And there we are. And rest. Yeah. I almost think like rest the passion. Let some of the passion subside and bring in some sweetness here. Calming it down a little bit. Coming from the heart, right? Literally ending where we started of the blue. Calming yourself. Finding your calm. Finding your Zen point. Really remaining grounded and communicating from an honest place. And really connecting with your people. I think that's really important for you this Mercury retrograde. So, all right. Pile 2, I hope that was helpful. I'm sending you guys a lot of love. Make sure you check out my astrology podcast, The Stars Made Me Do It. And I will see you guys next time. Bye. All right, pile 3, I've got your Tea Leaf Fortune card, Ink Pot, Problems to be Resolved. Interesting. I love that the ink is like this, it's like a purplish, reddish, I don't know, it looks very royal, like very rich ink. So let's see what this Mercury retrograde is teaching you. Pile 3. Oh, but I kind of want this one. Okay, you get 4 cards instead of 3. All right, 5 of Swords. Seeing things from a different point of view. The Hierophant, opening up your mind. Really letting your perspective broaden. The 2 of Wands, sort of similar to the Hierophant. It's almost like it's a lower octave of the Hierophant. So I almost feel from this that like not being the bigger person to be able to say that you're the bigger person, because then you're actually not the bigger person. And the Page of Pentacles. So this Page of Pentacles and this 5 of Swords is really screaming at me that you need to look inwards for this Mercury retrograde. And what this Hierophant and 2 of Wands is telling me is that you're sort of leaning towards looking externally. And so I think this Mercury retrograde is really going to be pushing you to look inward, and you're going to be pushing it to look outward. And so I can feel that there's going to be a lot of tension, a lot of friction. It's important for you to listen to the energies that are being given to you. Because if you just resist and resist and resist, it's going to be a much more difficult journey, much more difficult path. Whereas if you just say, all right, I surrender to what I'm being given, then that's where the growth really happens. And so ask yourself, what about you are you not willing to look at? I really like this 5 of Swords because we have not just these 2 people like mirroring each other, but we also have like this, I think it's probably like a yoga class or a meditation center. And so to really stop looking so much for external validation and go within and validate yourself. and see the beauty. I mean, there's like these grapes, so that royal is really coming through again. And this Page of Pentacles here also always screams at me to try and be the beauty, because I always think of how we compare ourselves to something that's so traditionally beautiful. But had we just looked at ourselves before looking at that conventional, then we would have also thought we were beautiful. And so seeing your beauty and your value, not by comparing yourself to who is known for being beautiful or who is known for being valuable, instead just comparing yourself to who you used to be, right? Only comparing yourself to past versions of yourself so that you can see just how much you have grown. And this Two of Wands is almost like, don't leave your world just to try to fit into other people's worlds. Fit into your own world. And you already do. You don't have to work hard at that. And the Hierophant, opening up to what is not conventional. I do think that this Mercury retrograde is going to bring a lot of comparison. And for you, it's almost like you're pushing back and you're like, no, I need to compare. That's what makes me grow. That's what makes me push myself to be better. But I think the universe is more pushing you towards looking inward and comparing yourself to nobody else. Just comparing yourself to past versions of you so that you can see just how much you've grown and how much you've evolved and how beautiful and valuable you really, really are. So let's look at how best to approach this Mercury retrograde period and the lessons that it's teaching you. You got the World, you got the Page of Swords, and you got the Four of Pentacles. So I'm just going to take a little look here. Best way to approach it is from a place of inner knowing. This is very almost like spiritual in a way. If you're not spiritual, you know, that's my only hesitance. It's because I don't want to push you away, but it does feel like there's a real need to connect within. And that internal conversation that you're having. And, you know, it may feel like a basic conversation, that Page of Swords, but it's a conversation that needs to be had. And there are almost lessons from earlier on, teenage years, high school years, your early 20s, mid 20s even, lessons that you were not learning back then that you are learning now. And so part of you might feel a little bit ashamed. And so it's time to get rid of that shame, rid of any embarrassment, because this is your truth and this is your existence. And just because you think everybody else learned this at 22 years old doesn't mean that you are wrong. Again, it's that comparison. Don't compare yourself to other people. You are living your path. You're living your journey. And so to accept it for what it is, even if it may feel non-linear. You know, this Four of Pentacles, you're really trying to hold on to what you think reality should look like. And the truth is, reality looks different for absolutely every single person. So letting your reality be real for you. And honestly, that's pretty much all I have for that. So let's look at the outcome should you take this approach. Nope. Beautiful connections with other people, new beginnings. Wow, just like dancing by yourself, and the Magician. Wow. I say wow every single time. So this is what came out first, the Two of Cups. Beautiful connection, not just connection with others, but connection to yourself, connection to the parts of yourself that you've hidden deep down. You also have the Fool, new beginnings, a new allowance to break through, a therapy breakthroughs even could come through, and the Magician, the realization that you can do it all, that you have the ability to master what you are going through right now. Not that you have to do it all and that you are responsible for everything. I definitely don't want to put that pressure on you, but the fact that where you may feel overwhelmed, you are only being given what you can handle. You have the strength to do this. All you have to do really is allow yourself to start without the fear of what it might turn into. Letting yourself dance freely. I love this Fool so much. He doesn't care at all what anybody thinks of him. He's just living in his joy and in self-love. So letting yourself really connect to that part of you that maybe you didn't let shine as much when you were younger, or even right now you're not letting shine as much. And And I think almost like this magician is saying, like, look up every now and then, be present in where you are right now, rather than on the hustle and the grind of moving forward and constantly doing things to succeed and progress. It's almost like, but what about right now? What if you are actually in a successful place right now, but you're too busy working towards the next goal to really see it, you know? So let's see, some Prism Oracles. And this is just any more messages that need to come through. Okay. Abundance. I need abundance in here. I want one more, bud. There we go. Ghost and pain. Wow. I almost think that the pain of the past with Ghost, the shedding, the letting go, the death of something old that's not here anymore. It could be a person, or it could even just be a version of yourself that's being shedded. And by completely letting it go, and by completely shedding that weight and shedding that layer of your old skin, that is when you really tap into this abundance. You really grow into it. And instead of sitting in this place of nothingness, of numbness, or sitting in this place of immense pain, you can sit in this place of abundance. So pile 3, I hope that was helpful. We got in there. That was kind of intense. So I'm sending you a lot of love. Make sure you check out my astrology podcast if you're interested. It's called The Stars Made Me Do It. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.